Hey everyone, Tapedecks here. Today I'll be bringing you a budget-friendly keyboard build using the Keydous NJ68 Max. It's a 65% keyboard with a 68 key layout, meaning that you get a physical set of arrow keys in the bottom right, along with a column of macro keys there too. However, you do miss the physical function key row along the top. It features a hot swap PCB with north-facing RGB and 5-pin switch support. Comes with a brass plate with plate mount stabilizers, although it is also available with a steel plate. This model here is a smoke black case, and it features a screwless design where the top and bottom cases clip together and sandwich the plate and PCB. The board supports 3-mode operation, which means that you can use it wired using USB-C, or wireless with the included 2.4 GHz dongle or with Bluetooth connection. To support the wireless, the board also has a 3100 mAh battery included, and it is also programmable. However, I'll talk a little bit more about that later. The switches I'll be using for this build are the Akko CS Ocean Blue. They are quite cheap, coming in at 15 Australian dollars for a pack of 45 switches, which brings the cost of the switch to around 33 cents or 23 US cents. As the name suggests, they feature a slightly dim blue bottom housing and stem, with a see-through but tinted blue top housing. They are an initial bump tactile switch with a 45 gram actuation force, taking 2mm to register the key press with 4mm of total travel. Like with all the Akko CS switches with the non-box style stem, it features a nylon bottom housing, a polycarbonate top housing, and a palm stem. The keycaps I'll be using for this build are this National Park set that I found on Taobao. They are an XDA profile with white alphanumeric keys and blue and yellow accents. The set does include some novelty keys. However, if you're not a fan of novelty keys, there are also blank versions of all of the keys that the novelties are included with. Here's the finished product. Overall, I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. I quite like the tone of the blue and the yellow and the way that they work together, especially with the color of the case. I like the novelties as well. I think that the designs are quite clean and not too in your face. I will say this though, the centering of some of the legends on the keys is not super great. For example, you can see it here with the 5 and the 6, as well as the F and the G. It's kind of noticeably different, and especially with them being right next to each other. But it is a cheap set, so I can't really complain all that much about it. And I think overall that it does look pretty nice. For a stock sound test, it was okay. The switches haven't been lubed, and they also don't come factory lubed, so they're quite scratchy, and you can kind of hear that as well in the sound. The stabilizers weren't too bad, especially considering that they are stock stabilizers on a budget board. The only thing that I really noticed was the spacebar ticked quite badly, but overall, I thought that it sounded not too bad, and hopefully with some modifications we can make it sound even better, so let's see how that goes. As mentioned before, the case has a sandwich design, so to open it up you'll need a credit card or something similar to wedge between the bottom and top cases to pry the clips apart. Here I'm just doing it with my hands to start off with because the rubber inserts mean that the cases are quite filled and I can kind of get a grip with my nails before using the card. Flipping over the case in the PCB, you'll see that I've tape modded the PCB as well as lined the bottom case with neoprene cutouts. And you can also see the battery and the on-off switch for the wireless mode. So that was a reasonable improvement. The taping and the inserts in the case, I think, have helped kind of remove some of the hollowness and the noise. And modifying the stabilizers, including the Holy mod on the spacebar, has kind of helped remove some of the leftover ticking. So let's leave the switches and do a final sound test. So there you have it, final product. Positives, I think that the color of the case and the keycaps worked well together. I like the slightly dull yellow and blue. I also like the design on the novelties and things like that. It's nice. It's not too in your face. Unfortunately, I think that that's where the positives end for me. I'm not a huge fan of the sound signature. I think that the combination of the switches and the brass plate kind of bring out a lot of high frequencies, makes it quite harsh, in my opinion, to listen to. But I know that some people do like to hear the more of a clacky sound signature. But for me, it's not really what I look for. Another thing to note is that the ticking on the spacebar. It's not really ticking because of the stabilizers. It's actually due to the switch. So to test it out, I swapped it out with a different set of switches that I have, and the ticking was gone. And when I changed it back, it came back. So I can only think that it's something to do with either the switch itself or the way it's been built, causing something to hit somewhere. I couldn't figure it out, but unfortunately, that's just how it turned out. I did mention earlier in the video about the programmability, and I don't think that really many people are going to care about this at all, but it's something that kind of I care about quite a lot. When I was initially researching this keyboard, I was looking to see if it was programmable, and supposedly it is. However, one of the key things I think about programmability is the ability to program layers and also to remap the buttons for changing between the layers. So for example, I like to use caps lock a lot because I don't use caps lock much as far as its original functionality goes, so I tend to use it as a function key. However, remapping the function key on this keyboard was not possible, so it didn't really help me out here with as far as programming layers go, or setting up any of the macros that I usually use. So that was another thing that would probably stop me from using this keyboard in future.